always takes the time to chop it up with us once a week. So thanks for joining us, Eddie. Listen, I want to talk a little Devin Haney. We just chopped it up with Mauricio Suleiman, and one of the questions I posed was, what's the repercussions for a mandatory that doesn't want to fight the champion? And I'm talking about Ryan Garcia not wanting to fight Devin Haney. And his rebuttal was that, hey, he's leaving an opportunity for a bigger fight to take place now that Devin is fighting Linares and Ryan Garcia fighting Fortuna. It creates that much of a bigger story, which I agree with. Now, Devin and Ryan fighting down the line, if they get past their opponents, will be a much bigger fight. Would you agree with that, Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like if you fight a mandatory, if you fight a fight to become mandatory, like he did against Luke Campbell, you should fight the champion. I mean, it's the whole reason that you'd enter a final eliminator. There's no other reason to fight a final eliminator without wanting to fight the champion. Ryan Garcia refused to fight Devin Haney. So we then applied to fight Jorge Linares, and then they made Ryan Garcia fight Fortuna. No problem. I mean, two great fights, as long as we get the fight we want at the end of it, but it kind of skirts around the fact that, which, most media and everybody refused to mention the fact that Ryan Garcia has refused to fight Devin Haney, and he was his mandatory. So,
right. Well, that's something that we've mentioned, and that's something that I mentioned, because I know he's going to get a lot of backlash for that, because now you're fighting Fortuna instead of fighting the champion, who's Devin Haney.
And by the way, Barack, as well, that's a tough, it's a tough fight. Like, and he's going to get, I don't know, a quarter of the money to fight Fortuna than he would do to fight Haney. It's just frustrating because, listen, Ryan Garcia is a great fighter, but he keeps talking about all these other challenges when there's one right in front of him. The Luke Campbell fight was a dangerous fight for him, but I thought that he took that fight because he was going to get a shot at the world title against Devin Haney if he won. But then when he did win, he didn't want to fight Devin Haney. So hopefully, one thing that Mauricio said, which is correct, is we have two tremendous fights. I mean, Devin Haney against Jorge Linares, Ryan Garcia against Fortuna, two really good fights. All being well, if they got those guys, the winners of those fights do meet in the fall, then it would have worked out perfectly. But I really feel like we've really got to put the pressure on this situation if both guys win, to say, come on, guys. And Devin is still a bit baffled why Ryan won't fight him, but we move on. And I'm glad that we managed to pull a big fight out for Devin, because he does need it. I always go backwards and forwards with Bill. You said we need a breakout fight. We've wanted a breakout fight for ages. I said, I know, I'm not saying you don't want a breakout fight. I'm saying we just need one, because it's all very well me standing from the rooftops with a trumpet saying Devin Haney's the best lightweight in the world. These are the kind of fights where you can actually start proving it.
Yeah, but not to mention, Eddie, I mean, we also have to worry about fans, right? In arenas, I mean, if maybe Ryan's business mind is thinking like, why not me and Devin fight somewhere in California?
That's a cop out. That's a cop out, because.
But it still doesn't make it not true, though. It's still. I mean, obviously, wouldn't you want it to be?
It's not true. It's not true, because we got 70,000 people watching Canelo Alvarez against Billy Joe Saunders in Dallas. We had 15,000 people in Miami. We had 3,700 in Dallas for Chocolatito against Estrada.
No, that's what I said. I said, why do you think he wants to wait for fans to be able to come to the venue if we just had 15,000 in Miami? And what Suleiman yesterday said, he said because that fight is going to take place in California. And California, the restrictions are different right now.
That's a cop-out. And by the way, in July, there will be fans back in California, unquestionably, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a cop-out as far as I'm concerned. But listen, it's all done. We have two tremendous fights for the Dazn calendar, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just make sure we keep that momentum for the schedule and for both guys' career. If they are good enough to come through those tough fights, let's just get it made in September, October. It is a tremendous fight.
Eddie, who's a tougher fight, Fortuna or Linares? Honestly.
I mean, I think Linares is a lot better. I think Fortuna's might be a little bit more awkward, but Linares is tons more skillful than Fortuna. No disrespect to Fortuna, but I mean, Linares is a freeweight world champion. He is coming to the back end of his career. and Fortuna, but Fortuna has also been around a while. You know, both very good lightweights. But you know, in terms of credibility, in terms of name value, in terms of the size of the fight, you know, I feel like Linares is the bigger name. But any of those guys, you know, Haney, Fortuna, good fight. Garcia, Linares, another good fight. I don't think people are really queuing up to fight Jorge Linares. You know, he's very cute, he's very fast, he can punch. You know, he's extremely well schooled. I think they're all tough. Listen, you know, I think Garcia could lose to Fortuna. You know, Devin could lose to Linares, but that's what we want, isn't it? I mean, that's what the kind of fights we want to see.
And I want to talk about Oscar De La Hoya, your best friend.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you guys are on the same platform, Dazn, but he seemed to came at you.
I mean, he doesn't seem to be on the Dazn platform. All he seems to be putting out is Triller. You know, now listen, I think obviously now, you know, I'm very blessed that my profile was taking a bit of a jump in the US, and I think it's very flattering that Oscar De La Hoya is using my name for some clout now, you know, to try and get him some profile in the US. I think it's.
You think that's what he's doing, or maybe he's just really you struck a nerve, man.
I can't. The problem is, as I said, not you two, but sometimes people don't get the sarcasm, you know. But look,
no, I know. I
mean,
he's super famous. We get that.
I've heard, you know, Bob's comments about Oscar. I mean, Dana White's comments about Oscar, just ripping him to shreds. And you know, it's very easy to go to town on Oscar De La Hoya with insults, but it's not really I respect the guy. You know, I think he was a fantastic fighter. He's doing his thing. We're very focused on what we're trying to do, you know, and all I said was that I've got a plan for our business to become, you know, the global dominator of boxing. It's nothing personal to Oscar De La Hoya, you know, but obviously
it is sort of.
Well, he used the word monopolizing. He said you want to monopolize the sport. That's the word he chose, and it's not going to happen. He's been involved in the sport since he was 5.
I mean, it is personal because, you know, he's been doing this, you know, in America for so many years. And
yeah, but Barack, that's not personal. That's just competition where I come from, right? If you're good enough, it won't be a problem. Okay, so like, if you're good enough, my plans won't work. But if I'm good enough at what I do, trust me, it's going to work, right? And I just don't feel, you know, I look at, again, I don't want to sort of pot shots backwards and forwards, but I don't look at Golden Boy as a competitor of ours, you know, for what we're doing on the global map. I think that, you know, they've got some, I'm a big fan of Robert Diaz. I think he's a great guy, you know, even Eric, and I have no animosity to them at all. But we're on a different kind of level. You know, we're a global player, and we're not just looking at shows in America. That's just one of our markets that we operate in. And I'm up for working with Golden Boy. We do loads of fights with them. I'll do more and more business with them. But it's never personal to me. It always seems to be personal to these people. Doesn't matter whether it's Bob Arum. Doesn't matter if it's Oscar De La Hoya. Doesn't matter if it's Frank Warren. Everything's personal. And all I see is rants and, you know, and anger and frustration and bitterness. Like, if you're focused on what you're doing, you don't worry about other people. You stay in your lane and you keep your beams on, your head down, and you just carry on. And that's what we're doing. So, of course, with where I want to take the sport, with where I want to take our business, we're going to upset some people on the way. Been doing it for years. You know what I mean? So it's nothing new. And I'm not saying that when we talk about monopolizing sport, I'm not saying I don't want anyone else in the sport operating. Not at all. I'm just saying we want to be the biggest, the best, the most powerful, and we want to try and create, you know, our own special play for the sport globally. That's what we're trying to do. So,
and I believe everybody's trying to do that. So you're not saying nothing wrong. And when I said it's personal, it's personal to him.
No one's trying to do that, Barrett. No one's trying to do that globally. No one's making a global plan. No one's promoting internationally. Everyone's just promoting in their own markets right now. You know, and I think sometimes what we're doing, I'm not looking for pats on the back. I'm just saying, look at what we're doing. You know, we're in Gibraltar. Then we're in Uzbekistan. This week we're in London. Next week we're in Miami. Then we're in Milan. Then we're in Manchester. Then we're in Barcelona. Then we're in Dallas, Texas. Then we're back in London. You know, I know people know what we're doing, but show me anyone else that's putting that kind of consistency together, or that kind of drive, that kind of strategy for boxing. No one. And again, it's not a case of looking for pats on the shoulder, but no one is doing it.